Imagine turning 18, the one day that's supposed to be all about you. Your friends are texting, your classmates are posting on your wall, and you're waiting for that big moment, the one where your family finally makes you feel special. But when I walked into the backyard that day, balloons were floating, people were cheering, and not a single person was cheering for me. My parents had thrown a massive birthday party for my older brother. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, like no matter what you do, you'll never be enough, then this story's going to hit home. Hit that like button, subscribe, and get ready, because this is the story of how I turned heartbreak into the most poetic revenge my parents never saw coming. When I was 17, I was basically the quiet one in the family, the good kid. I didn't break rules, didn't fight, didn't demand much. My brother, on the other hand, let's call him Ryan, was the golden child. 2 years older than me, charming, athletic, always the center of attention. My parents adored him like he was the second coming of Jesus himself. Ryan could crash Dad's car, and Dad would say, "He's young, boys make mistakes." I'd accidentally forget to feed the dog once, and Mom would lecture me for a week about responsibility. So yeah, I'd learned to keep my head down. But as my 18th birthday approached, I thought maybe things would be different. I'd been accepted into a good college, one they didn't think I could get into, and I'd been saving up from my part-time job to buy my own laptop. I was proud. For once, I thought I'd earned my place. A week before my birthday, Mom said casually, "Don't make any plans next Saturday, honey. We're doing something special." I asked, "Really? For my birthday?" She smiled, that fake, distracted smile she gives when she's half listening, and said, "Of course, sweetie. You'll love it." For the first time in years, I let myself get excited. That Saturday, I woke up to the sound of laughter downstairs, balloons, music. I thought, oh my God, they actually did something. I remember running to the bathroom, brushing my hair, trying to look my best. I wore the shirt I'd been saving for months, deep blue with little white stripes, and I even sprayed Dad's cologne just to feel grown up. But when I walked downstairs, my stomach dropped. The living room was full of people, neighbors, family, friends, even my classmates. There were banners and streamers and a huge cake sitting on the table. But it didn't say, "Happy 18th, Alex." It said, "Congratulations, Ryan." At first, I thought it was some kind of joke, like maybe they'd reuse decorations or something. But then I saw Ryan, standing in the center of the room, holding a trophy, grinning from ear to ear. Everyone was clapping for him. My mom came over and kissed my cheek. "Oh, honey, isn't this great? Your brother won his regional championship. We thought we'd throw a little party for him. It just happened to line up with your birthday. 2 celebrations in one." I just stood there frozen. My hands felt cold, my chest tight. "So, this isn't for me?" Dad laughed, slapping my back. "Of course it's for you too, bud. We're family. It's all love here." But there was no cake for me. No presents. Not a single person even said, "Happy birthday." I remember sitting in the corner of that party, watching Ryan soak in the attention. He told the story of his big win 5 times, each time bigger, louder, more dramatic. And every time he spoke, Mom's eyes sparkled like he hung the moon. When he saw me, he smirked. "Hey, Alex, didn't mean to steal your thunder, man. But you know," my big moment, I forced a smile. "Yeah, it's fine." Inside, it wasn't fine. It was like something cracked open in me. That night, after everyone left, I went to my room. I locked the door and just sat there, staring at the dark. My birthday had come and gone, and nobody had remembered. Not even a text from Mom. I scrolled through social media and saw pictures from the party. Everyone tagging Ryan. My face barely visible in the background, blurry and unimportant. I felt invisible. Like I could disappear and no one would notice. That's when something shifted. I didn't scream or cry or break anything. I just went still, the kind of quiet that feels dangerous. I realized something. If I kept waiting for them to see me, I'd spend my whole life in their shadow. I needed to make them see me in a way they'd never forget. The next morning, Mom knocked on my door. "We're heading out for brunch. You coming?" I said, "No, I've got homework." She shrugged. "Suit yourself. That was the moment I decided I wasn't going to waste energy being the forgotten kid anymore. I was going to make myself impossible to ignore. I threw myself into school. Every project, every paper, I treated it like a battle. I got a scholarship that same semester. When Mom brushed it off as cute, I smiled and said nothing. When Ryan failed a class and Dad made excuses, I still said nothing. But I was watching, planning. Ryan had always been the pride of the family because he was athletic, not smart. And when college applications came around, he got rejected from his top choices. Meanwhile, I quietly got into one of the best programs in the state, full ride. But here's the twist. I didn't tell them. Not yet. When I got my acceptance letter, I printed it and tucked it in my desk drawer. I wanted to wait. I wanted them to think I was just average Alex, the quiet one who followed behind his brother's footsteps. I knew Ryan was planning a big graduation party that summer. My parents were already buzzing about it. Guest lists, decorations, caterers. Deja vu Mom even said one night, laughing, "You don't mind sharing the celebration again, right? You and Ryan are both graduating. We'll make it one big event." That was it. The final straw. I smiled and said, "Sure, Mom. That sounds great." But in my mind, I was already building my revenge. I started saving again. Every paycheck from my part-time job went into a separate account. I took extra shifts. Ryan thought I was being boring for not going out, but I didn't care. I was quietly building my future. By the time the graduation party rolled around, I had enough to pull off what I'd been imagining for months, something that would humiliate my parents and Ryan, but not in a cruel way. Just poetic, something that would make them realize exactly what they'd done. The week before the party, I got an email from my university confirming my scholarship and dorm assignment. Perfect timing, I had my plan. When the big day came, I helped decorate, smiling, calm as ever. Ryan strutted around like a celebrity, barking orders at everyone. "Make sure the banner's straight. This is my night." Oh, it would be, but not the way he thought. I had sent out a few quiet invites of my own. My teachers, my scholarship advisor, and a few friends from the academic club. They all knew me as the kid who'd worked his butt off and gotten into the top program. I told them to show up a little later, around the time Mom planned to cut the cake. When they did, things started to shift. Mrs. Cooper, my English teacher, walked in first. "Alex, congratulations again. I still can't believe you got the full scholarship." Mom's smile froze. "Scholarship?" Ryan turned. "Wait, what?" That was just the beginning. Mom's smile didn't just freeze, it cracked, like she didn't quite understand what she'd just heard. "Scholarship?" she repeated, her voice tight. Mrs. Cooper smiled politely, oblivious to the bomb she'd just dropped. "Oh, yes, didn't he tell you? Full academic ride to Westbridge University. That's one of the most competitive programs in the state. I was so proud when I saw his name on the announcement list." The room went quiet for a moment. Even the music seemed to fade. I could feel every eye turning toward me. Mom, Dad, Ryan, all of them trying to process what they'd just learned. I just smiled. Yeah, I wanted to tell you guys when the timing felt right. Ryan laughed, that fake, half-insecure laugh he did when he didn't know how to respond. "Wait, you got into Westbridge? That's hilarious. You're kidding, right?" "Nope," I said calmly. "Got my acceptance letter months ago." Dad frowned, glancing between me and Mrs. Cooper. "You didn't think to mention this earlier?" I shrugged. Didn't seem like anyone was interested. "I figured you'd find out eventually." You could practically hear the air being sucked out of the room. Mom tried to recover, clapping her hands. "Well, that's wonderful. We're so proud of you, sweetheart. Of course, we would have celebrated if we'd known." I tilted my head. "Like how you celebrated my birthday." Her face went pale. Ryan muttered under his breath, "Dude, you're being dramatic." And that was the moment I realized he still didn't get it. None of them did. The rest of the evening was deliciously awkward. My parents tried to act normal, but everyone kept congratulating me. People came up asking about my major, my scholarship, what it felt like to be accepted into Westbridge. Ryan's friends even started drifting toward me. Curious, impressed. Ryan looked like he was slowly boiling alive. At one point, I caught him glaring at me from across the room, jaw tight, fingers digging into his drink cup. Mom kept whispering to Dad, probably trying to figure out how to spin the situation. But I wasn't done. When the music slowed and it was time to cut the cake, Mom tried to regain control of the moment. "All right, everyone, gather around for the cake. Let's celebrate both of our amazing boys." 2 cakes sat on the table. One said, "Congratulations, Ryan," and next to it a smaller one that just said, "Alex." That small cake wasn't there before. Mom must have ordered it last minute when she realized she'd been caught off guard. The difference in size said everything. Ryan grinned and grabbed the knife. "Ladies first. Oh, wait, there's no lady of honor." "Guess it's me." He laughed at his own joke, waiting for the usual chorus of parental laughter. None came. That's when I decided to deliver the second blow. As Ryan cut his cake, I pulled out my phone, opened the email from Westbridge, and projected it on the living room TV using the Bluetooth connection. The big screen lit up with the university's crest and my name in bold letters. "Congratulations, Alexander Moore. You've been awarded the Westbridge Scholar Grant." Gasps, murmurs, cameras clicking, and my parents' faces, priceless. Ryan whipped around. "Dude, what the hell are you doing?" I looked right at him, calm and steady. "You've had every spotlight in this house your whole life." I figured it was my turn. The silence that followed was heavy. Then, softly, one of my teachers said, "Well said, Alex." People clapped. Actually clapped. Mom's hands trembled as she tried to keep smiling. Dad muttered something about timing and attention-seeking, but no one was listening to him. For once, they weren't looking at Ryan. They were looking at me. After the party, the mask came off. Mom cornered me in the kitchen, her voice low and sharp. "That was incredibly disrespectful. You embarrassed your brother." I turned to her. "I embarrassed him? You threw his party on my birthday. You embarrassed me for 18 years, her eyes narrowed. "Don't twist this. Family is about support. Then maybe you should try supporting me for once." She opened her mouth, but no words came. Dad joined in, his tone cold. "This attitude of yours is exactly why you're not the favorite. Ryan doesn't pull stunts like this." I laughed bitterly. "He doesn't have to. You hand him everything." I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just said it with that calm, surgical precision that cuts deeper than shouting ever could. Then I left. That night I packed my bags. I wasn't waiting for college to start, and I was moving out early. I'd saved enough to get a small room in a shared apartment near campus. When I left that house at sunrise, I didn't even say goodbye. Over the next few months, things changed faster than I expected. College life was rough, but freeing. No one compared me to Ryan. No one called me the quiet one. People saw me for what I actually was, focused, capable, funny even. I started a small tutoring business on campus. At first, it was just a way to make some cash, but word spread. I had a knack for helping people actually understand the material. Within a year, I had 20 regular clients and even hired a few classmates to help. By sophomore year, it had turned into an official business. I named it Mindbridge Tutoring. It was small but steady. I filed the LLC myself. My professors were impressed. My parents didn't know any of this. They'd tried calling a few times, leaving awkward voicemails about missing me and hoping I'd visit. I never answered. I wasn't angry anymore. I was just done. Ryan, on the other hand, was struggling. He'd gone to a local college on partial scholarship but dropped out after a semester. Too many parties, not enough studying. I heard through mutual friends that he was working at a car dealership. Nothing wrong with that, but I could tell he hated it. Part of me pitied him. The other part remembered that smirk on my 18th birthday and thought, "You made your bed." By the time I was 22, Mindbridge had blown up. We'd expanded to 3 campuses, hired over 40 tutors, and partnered with a few local high schools. I'd been featured in a small business article, From Overlooked Teen to Educational Entrepreneur. That article was the spark that reignited everything. One day, out of nowhere, I got a call. "Mom." I let it ring 3 times before I answered. "Alex." "Sweetheart, we just read about your business. Oh my gosh, we had no idea you were doing so well. You must come home. We have to celebrate." I almost laughed. "Celebrate what?" "Your success, of course." We're so proud of you. I could hear Dad in the background muttering, "Tell him we can invite some friends, make it nice." And then, Ryan's voice. "Yeah, tell him to bring that business money too. Maybe he can sponsor the party." There it was. The same dynamic, the same entitled tone. They didn't want to celebrate me. They wanted to show me off. That's when I decided, if they wanted a celebration, I'd give them one they'd never forget. I agreed to come home for the first time in 4 years. Mom was ecstatic. "We'll make it just like old times." She said, "Sure," I replied. Exactly like old times. Except this time, I was in control. I hired a small local event company, anonymously, to assist my parents with the setup. They thought it was part of my contribution. What they didn't know was that I'd arranged everything. The decorations, the schedule, even the slideshow presentation. When the night came, the house was packed again. The same neighbors, the same friends, even some old classmates. Ryan strutted in wearing his dealership uniform, still acting like the star of the show. "Alex," he shouted, pulling me into a half-hug. "Finally back from being too good for us, huh?" I smiled. "Something like that." Dinner was served, the chatter grew louder, and then Mom clinked her glass. "Everyone, can we have your attention, please?" She gestured toward me. "We are so proud of our son, Alex. He's built something truly incredible. Tonight is all about celebrating his success." Applause, smiles, flashes of cameras, and then I said, "Thanks, Mom. Actually, I have something special prepared too." I nodded to the event staff, my staff, and the projector lit up. On the screen flashed photos from my childhood, year after year, of me standing next to Ryan, always slightly off to the side. Every school event, every family dinner, every birthday, Ryan in the center, me in the shadow. The crowd went quiet. You could feel the discomfort. Then, the next slide. For my 18th birthday, my parents threw a huge party. For my brother, gasps. Someone whispered, "Oh my God." I stood there smiling politely. You know, that day really stuck with me. It taught me what it feels like to be invisible. But it also taught me something else. That sometimes being overlooked is the best fuel you can get. Because it makes you build yourself from the ground up. I paused. "So thank you, Mom, Dad, Ryan, for teaching me what not to be." The silence was thick. Ryan's face turned red. "Are you seriously doing this right now?" Mom's lip trembled. "Alex, why would you—" I cut her off. "Because this is my story. And for once, I get to be the one who tells it. People didn't know where to look. Some clapped awkwardly. Others looked like they'd just witnessed a car crash in slow motion. I ended the slideshow with a quote that appeared in bold on the screen. "Sometimes, the best revenge is becoming everything they said you couldn't be." And then I smiled. Enjoy the rest of the night. For a few seconds after the slideshow ended, no one spoke. The air was thick with a mix of disbelief, guilt, and secondhand embarrassment. You could hear the faint hum of the projector cooling down, the clinking of a glass somewhere near the back. And then, silence. Mom's face was pale. Dad's jaw was locked tight, his hand gripping the edge of the table like he was holding himself back from exploding. Ryan looked furious, eyes darting between me and the guests as if he could somehow undo what everyone had just seen. Finally, Dad broke the silence. "That was unnecessary, Alex." His voice was cold, sharp. I took a deep breath and met his eyes. "What's unnecessary is pretending we're a perfect family. You taught me to suppress everything, to be quiet, to not take up space. But tonight, I wanted you to see what your silence created," Mom whispered, her voice cracking. "We didn't mean to hurt you." I nodded slowly. "I know, but you did. And the thing about pain is, it doesn't disappear just because the people who caused it didn't mean to." Ryan scoffed. "So this was your big revenge? Embarrassing your own family? Congrats, man. You're still pathetic," I smiled. "Maybe. But pathetic got me here. Successful, independent, and finally free of needing your approval." For a second, his face softened, just slightly, and I saw it. Envy, buried under years of arrogance. He opened his mouth like he wanted to say something, but then stopped. One of the guests, my old English teacher again, cleared her throat. Actually, Alex, that was incredibly brave. Sometimes telling the truth is the most powerful thing we can do. People nodded. A few even clapped. And in that moment, I didn't feel petty. I didn't feel cruel. I felt whole. After the party, I packed up quietly and said goodbye to a few of the guests. Mom came over, eyes red, and touched my arm. "I really didn't realize how much we failed you," she said softly. "I wish we could start over." For the first time in years, I didn't feel angry. I just felt tired, but free. "You don't have to start over," I said. "You just have to see me now." "That's all I ever wanted." She nodded, tears brimming, and I could tell, maybe for the first time, that she truly meant it. Ryan avoided me the rest of the night. But as I was leaving, I caught him by the door. He didn't meet my eyes, just muttered, "Guess you finally got your own party?" I smiled. "Yeah, and I didn't need Mom to throw it for me." He chuckled, just barely. "Touché. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was something close. The fragile beginning of understanding." When I drove away from that house, headlights cutting through the night, I didn't feel rage or triumph anymore. I felt calm. The kind of calm that comes when you finally let go of needing to prove yourself, because revenge at its core isn't always about destruction. Sometimes it's about revelation, making people see what they refused to before. My parents saw me that night, not as the quiet, forgettable kid in the background, but as someone who'd built something from the very pain they'd ignored. And honestly, that was enough. Months later, Mom called again. This time, not to brag or apologize, just to talk. She'd started volunteering at a youth center. "I meet a lot of kids who feel invisible," she said. "I think I understand better now." That hit harder than I expected. I told her I was glad. That maybe we were finally learning how to be a family. Not the picture-perfect one they'd tried to stage, but a real one. Messy, honest, flawed. Ryan and I eventually reconnected too. He started working for my tutoring company, managing client outreach. It wasn't easy at first. He had to swallow his pride, and I had to let go of years of resentment. But strangely enough, it worked. We found a rhythm that had never existed before. Sometimes at company events, when someone mentions the birthday story, Ryan rolls his eyes and says, "Yeah, don't remind me. My brother taught me the hard way not to hog the spotlight." He says it jokingly now. And I smile because the truth is I don't need revenge anymore. I already got what I wanted, respect. If there's one thing I learned from all this, it's that being overlooked isn't the end. It's just the beginning of your story. The pain that people give you, the rejection, the dismissal, the quiet cruelty, that can be the very thing that fuels your rise. So if you've ever been the forgotten one, the invisible one, remember this. You don't need their attention to shine. You just need your own conviction. And one day they'll have no choice but to see you. Sometimes karma doesn't come crashing down. It unfolds slowly, beautifully, as you rise higher than the ones who doubted you. Revenge doesn't always mean tearing them down. Sometimes it means living so well that they can't look away. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button and tell me in the comments. Have you ever had to prove someone wrong just by succeeding? And of course, subscribe for more stories where justice isn't just served. It's perfected.